everyone. My name is Ernesto Sanchez. Welcome to BLBW, Better Leaders for a Better World. Today we're going to talk about conflict. Conflict is one of the challenges we all have in work environments. And the better we know how to handle the situations and how to handle conflict, the more space, healthy space you're going to create an environment where people can work and be more productive. So let's talk about the first part of this today, where we're going to set the foundation to understand the basics of conflict and how to improve our management style to handle it. So what is conflict? Typically, conflict is a clash. It's a misunderstanding between two opposing perspectives or two opposing forces. And sometimes those two forces could be complementary. So that's why now, today, in this video, we're going to talk about what is the positive side of conflict and how can you learn about yourself and about others. The idea is that it is important because conflict creates stress. Conflict creates a situation and you lose energy by thinking and focusing on aspects that are not necessarily the core of your work, because you are thinking and you are fighting against those other perspectives that are against your own perspective. And there are studies that show that conflict is one of the key drivers for stress. You know, people can have a high effort, but if they don't have a good reward, or there is a job strain, or no recognition, and conflict can be one of those components to add stress to their lives, and that's why it is important to address it. The next component is what causes conflict. As I said earlier, one of the causes is that clash of perspectives. It could be a misunderstanding, it could be different expectations that they may need to be just clarified and conflict can go away. Or maybe there are different ideas, interests, approaches, and variances of the different perspectives. So those are the causes. And here's a key question. Is conflict good or bad? And you know, when we hear the word conflict, we typically think negatively. We need to think about the bad side of conflict. But what about thinking that conflict could be positive? Conflict could be a good way to learn about others' perspective, and also create self-awareness about how do we think and what's our approach. So let's think in this way. Imagine that you have this perspective. Yeah, you are individual A, and a different persons have another perspective, or maybe this is the perspective. Yeah, to make it different. So, however, both of them get into the same objective. Only the thing is that they are using different approaches. So, when you listen to the other person's perspective, when you have the patience to really say, okay, why this person is approaching this in this way, and maybe, you know, he or she is going to get there as well. Or in the case of the other person is saying, oh wow, that person has a more straight perspective. How can I learn from that to be, maybe it's shorter, maybe it's a little more effective. So that's why it's important to really listen and to really make sure that you are open to others person's ideas. The other concept about what is the benefit of conflict is that sometimes you have an object. Yeah, let's say that you have a chair here. Yeah, but you are seeing this object from this perspective, and they ask you what do you see, maybe you see only a vertical part of the back side of the chair. The other person, since he or she is looking from the other angle, is seeing the front part of the chair. And maybe if there are more people, each of them are going to have a different perspective of what the chair is. What about talking to each other? What about interchanging ideas? What about sharing and thinking collectively instead of clashing and thinking that you have the right answer? That will benefit you, because instead of having a one view, you will have more views. And it's being said that every object could have more than 365,000 ways of understanding. Imagine, because obviously if you have a lot of people seeing, many people are going to have a different perspective of the same idea or concept. So, put it simple, listening to others and trying to see from their perspective will enrich your own perspective, and that a conflict that you have because you were thinking that you were right, maybe it's simply that you are not listening or seeing what others are saying. So that's a one point of view. How can we really enrich and learn from a potential conflict that we have? Conflicts could be internal or external. Internal is more related when you struggle with your own opposing desires or beliefs. When you have a value and you do something that is against those values, then you have an internal conflict thinking, oh, I shouldn't do this, I shouldn't do that. But today we're talking more about external conflict, which is when something or someone beyond your own control doesn't align with your perspective, which is the example that we just showed here earlier. The last part of this is about how can we solve conflict in the workplace. And this is something that we're going to address in the next video. So stay tuned and we will address that soon.